Hello, and welcome to Come to Think of It. My name is Steve Nemirovsky, and I'm your host. Today we're coming to think of the abysmal state of reading in our country. I call it the illiteracy apocalypse because of the disastrous consequences. This will be the start of a series in which we learn about attempts being made to help fix the problem. As you know, it is important to me not to just bring you issues to think of, but to bring solutions as well. Personally, I can't think of anything more important from a societal perspective than getting our kids to read at the highest possible levels. Sadly, on matters of literacy, our political leaders and schools are just not doing enough. And from the test scores, things just keep getting worse, particularly during COVID. And that was on top of a system already receiving failing grades. It's not just that government and schools are failing. I often wonder if they're even trying. To that end, we'll also examine the sad state of reading curriculum at some point during this series. We're going to start our investigation by coming to think of a small but mighty organization aptly named 311 Literacy. Among other things, 311 Literacy has found a way to improve reading by reaching thousands of students all at once. Joining us is Ariadna Trapote, I hope I said that right, the CEO of 311 Literacy. Ariadna, welcome to Come to Think of It.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for inviting me to your program and to give me the opportunity to talk about what we're doing in 311 Literacy.
And Ariadna, you and I have met before, and I know 311 is in great hands with you as their leader, but you've actually been in the literacy space for a decade or more now. How did you get into this space, and what are some of the things you did before you got to 311 Literacy?
That's correct. So I've been passionate or obsessed, I might say, about children's literacy since 10 years ago when I graduated from a master's degree in finance. So I have a BA in actuarial science, which is math applied to risk. So I'm very focused on numbers. And I moved to Boston to do my master's degree with all my family. And one of my favorite activities to do with my children was to take them to public libraries, which is something that I never did in Mexico. In Mexico, we don't have a lot of public libraries. Access to books is not the same as in the US. So when it was time to come back from Boston, I said, how can I keep on doing this with my children? And how can I help other families to fall in love with reading the same way I did? So I started this company that it's called Little Bookmates, and it's kind of a library at home where we select 8 different books, physical books for families, and we send them over and we rotate them on a monthly basis. So that way families have physical books to read with their children all the time. I've been doing that for the past 10 years. I have franchises, amazing franchises. So that's my work in the literacy space in Mexico. And then I moved to Miami after COVID. And I said, okay, how can I have more impact? Because with Little Bookmates, I'm already giving access to amazing books to families that can't afford it. But what about all the other families and children that cannot have access to amazing books and that are not, passionate readers? So that's why I started with Jeffrey, my co-founder. We started 311 Literacy.
So let's stop there only for 1 second. Are you still operating the Bookmates program?
Yes, it's still operating. We have 5 franchises. One of them is in Colombia. One is about to start in Spain, and it's going great.
So let's give them a quick plug. If someone wants to look into Little Bookmates and find out about getting books to children to improve literacy, do you have a website, or where would they go to get involved?
Yes, littlebookmates.com, and we also have an app, so you can go there, register, and we can even give you free recommendations every month of books that you can buy to your kids. And if there's a franchise in your community, you can sign up for that service.
Perfect. Let's get some franchises going. So now we're going to go to 311 Literacy because you hooked up with Jeff Drayton, an old friend of mine, and you guys had a vision. What was the vision?
So Jeff came to me a little over 2 years ago, and he said, okay, kids in the U.S. are not reading at grade level, and especially Hispanic kids. So how can we solve this problem? And we came together and we said, okay, first, in order for kids to fall in love with reading, they need to have access to amazing books. So what's happening? There are not a lot of resources in Spanish for Hispanic kids in the U.S. So that's how we began. And we said, okay, kids love to compete. And if you give them access to a lot of books and you give them the right incentives, let's see what happens. And that's how we came up with the idea of a reading tournament.
All right, so let's unpack this a bit. First of all, you are kind of focusing, or not entirely, but you are focusing on a bilingual audience here to improve literacy, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. What caused you to focus on a bilingual audience?
Well, first, I'm from Mexico, and Jeff lives in Mexico. And with my two kids here living in Miami, I found out that there are not a lot of resources in Spanish, and I don't want them to lose the Spanish, the ability to read in Spanish. So that's why we focus on the bilingual market.
Okay. And then, as you said, you wanted to entice kids to read, and you came up with the idea of having tournaments. So how many tournaments have you had so far?
We've had 3 tournaments. We're going to have the next one in the summer, but in the first 3 tournaments, in the first one we had 5,000 kids. At the beginning we said, okay,
Wait, I'm going to interrupt you there. I want everybody to fix on that. You had 5,000 kids in a reading tournament.
In the first one, we
That's
said,
fantastic.
okay, let's see who signs up. And 5,000 kids signed up, not just from the U.S., we also had kids from Mexico.
And that was kind of the competition. U.S. kids are going to compete against kids in Mexico, and there were some prizes awarded for who would get the best scores and other things.
Exactly. So they were competing, and they won laptops, and we had a ceremony, amazing ceremony at the Mexican Stock Exchange, and it was great. And we said, okay, let's have another competition. And in the second tournament, we had 15,000 kids sign up. So it went from 5,000 to 15,000. And from 2 countries to 6 countries. So we had kids from the U.S., from Mexico, and then Dominican Republic, Peru, El Salvador, and some kids from Pakistan sign up for the second reading tournament.
And in the United States, if I understand it correctly, most of the competition was sponsored through schools and school systems. Where were they located?
Yeah, most of them were in Chicago and Philadelphia on the second reading tournament. But on the third reading tournament that we had 21,000 kids signing up, we had more states.
That's amazing. So you're doing great work, and we talked earlier, we're going to actually do this show in 2 segments. In the second segment, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about the tournaments. I want to take a minute or 2 to talk about some of the other work that's being done at 311 Literacy. I know you have a great people manual that you've developed. So this is another function of 311 Literacy. Can you walk us through the great people manual and what that is there for?
Yeah, that's another program that we have, and it's a values-based curriculum that turns great readers into great people. It's a series of books in English and Spanish, and we also have videos in both languages that kids can read and learn about universal values and how to be a great person, such as the golden rule, which is treat others the way you want to be treated, empathy, kindness, those kinds of things. So we include those books into the great reading tournament so that the kids can read about values and virtues.
So the literacy stuff is very important to me, and I know it's very important to get all the reading scores up. How did you come to decide that it was also important to talk about values?
Well, I'm new to this country, and I've noticed that parents and the government, everyone has a different opinion, but I think there's some universal principles and rules that apply to everyone. And as for my kids, I think it's important to teach them and remind them about what is a value, what is a virtue, what does it take to be a good person? So there are a lot of kids that don't have parents or teachers that care about these types of things. So I think kids need to read them somewhere. How to be a good person. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter if you're from Mexico, Hispanic, immigrant, non-immigrant, the color of your skin, or the religion that you have. Everyone can be a great person.
So in a moment we're going to take a break, and as I said, we're going to go through the reading tournament. But while we're on the manual stuff, if someone's interested in this part of your program, the great people manual stuff, how do they find that, and how do they get involved with you on that topic?
Well, we're going to begin selling the program in August because we're finishing writing all the books and the videos. But anyone that is interested can contact us directly through our website or through our email, info@311literacy.com. And we can give you a sample of what the kids are reading. Just to give you a number, in the past tournament, which was in March 2025, our books from the Great People Manual were read 6,000 times. And the kids were rating with 4.8 out of 5 stars our books, and they even created projects on, what's the golden rule and the other values. So it's been going great, and we can give out samples if a parent is interested in what we're doing.
Or would schools be interested to help build curriculum around it?
Of course, yeah. Also, we have lesson plans for teachers and family guides for parents. So it's a whole program, not just the books and the videos. It's a whole system. And as I said, it's written in both languages. And what I love about it the most is that we hired real people. They're not written by AI. The illustrations are made by hand and not by AI. So these are like crafted books and videos, and I love them.
So just before we break here, if I'm a teacher and I want to come to 311 Literacy and add this value system to my studies and my students, again, I would send you a contact at info@311literacy.org, and you'll be able to learn everything you need to do about the manual.
Exactly, that's right.
Perfect. All right, let's take a quick break. We're going to come right back and talk about the Great Reading Tournament.
Thank you.
Have you ever felt lost in the voting booth? With 518,000 elected officials in the United States, it's no wonder. Elections are complicated. From local school boards to the presidency, there are so many choices. And that's where Ballotpedia comes in, your one trusted source. Because the only unknown on your ballot should be who gets your vote. Our sample ballot lookup tool shows you exactly who and what will be on your ballot. Just enter your address, select your upcoming election, and prepare to vote informed. You can even save your favorites and print your completed sample ballot. With Ballotpedia, vote with confidence and vote informed.
Food Bank of the Rockies is the largest hunger relief organization in the Rocky Mountain region. Currently, they are responding to the highest levels of hunger they've seen in 10 years. Through their network of hunger relief partners, including those here in Aspen, and food distribution events, the food bank is committed to providing nutritious and familiar foods to individuals across the Western Slope. Here's an example of their great work.
When I saw the long line of cars, I thought there's such a need in the valley. What it feels like when you don't have food is that you've let your family down. I'm Sherry Lee, I'm 62 years old, and I live in Grand Junction, Colorado. We were homeless, and they fed us. We're better off than we've ever been, thanks to the Food Bank of the Rockies.
We're back with Ariadna Trapote, and we're talking about 311 literacy. In particular, for this part of the show, we're going to drill down and talk about how these great reading tournaments work. Ariadna, if I remember the math correctly, you've already done 3 tournaments. You went from 5,000 students to 14,000 to 21,000. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay. And now we're getting ready for a big tournament this summer. So let's talk about how these tournaments work. Let's say I'm a school and I want to participate. How does the school get involved? And then how do they bring the students into the tournament?
So it's super, super simple, and it's free for any student, any teacher, any parent that want to sign up their kids. It's free for them. So they go to 311literacy.com and they go into the grade reading tournament and they click on sign up. When they sign up, there's a form, and you put all the information and you will receive the instructions for signing up for the digital platform to access to the books. So the way it works is that we have a partnership with a digital platform that hosts the books. The name of that platform is LightSail. So the teachers and parents sign up with us in the grade reading tournament, 311literacy.com, in the grade reading tournament. They give us their information, and we give them back a username and password for the LightSail platform. Is that clear?
First, so now they're signed up.
Exactly.
All right, let's say now the tournament begins. It's day one. What is day one of this tournament, by the way?
Day one is June 15.
And it runs for about a month then?
For 5 weeks, from
5
June
weeks.
15 to July 19. So as soon as the parent or teacher receives the login information of their students for the LightSail platform, they can log in and start reading and practicing. And then when the tournament begins, the kids log in. So it's super simple, no work for parents, no work for teachers. They log in into the LightSail platform and they start reading and they accumulate minutes. So the LightSail platform starts accumulating the minutes, and at the end, the winner is the one that reads the most amount of minutes. It's as simple as that.
So how many minutes have your winners logged in so far?
Oh, in total, everyone has logged in 4 million minutes.
4 million minutes.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
it's 4 million minutes that kids are not on social media or not on other platforms, that they are reading.
And one nice thing about having a program over the summer is often there's a huge drop-off over the summer. This way the kids can hopefully stay at their level or improve their level over the summer, so that when they start school in the fall, they're really ready to go, correct?
Exactly. This is to help the summer slide, and we can get the kids interested in reading and winning prizes instead of watching, YouTube or other apps.
So if I'm a young student, I'm going on here, I want to choose a book. Has my school helped me decide what kind of reading I should do? Am I picking the reading? And if I pick the reading myself, how do I know what level is the right level for me? How is all that navigated through the system?
So when the parents and teachers register the students, they have to say which grade the student is in. So the platform gives recommendations based on that grade. However, we don't require the students to read a specific title. They can read whatever they want, because that's, in my opinion, one of the problems that we have, that we assume that kids, for example, a kid that is in 5th grade, they have to read a book for a 5th grader, but maybe that kid is lagging behind. And in this tournament, that kid can read a book that is for a 1st grader, for example. And when that kid reads a 1st grade book, and then he gains interest and confidence, and then he can move on to other books, and then can eventually, read more and read better. Also, another important thing is that some of the books have questions. So we also give additional bonus points for the questions that are answered correctly to encourage a good reading comprehension.
So again, if I'm a school, I'm a parent, and my child is doing this reading, what kind of feedback do I get? Do I get the minutes score? Do I get the score of how many questions they answered? What do I get back to know if my student is actually growing?
At the end, we give the schools and the parents how many minutes the child read, how many books, what types of books, and the questions and the score they got on the questions. So actually, during the tournament, the teachers have a dashboard where they can see how their students are doing. But it's not required that the teacher goes into the dashboard or assigns any books. We don't want to give more work to the teachers or to the parents. So that's only if the teacher wants to go in.
No, but the point is it's there if they want it, and particularly if you sign up a school system, they may have some standards that they want to achieve, and the teachers can use this diagnostic to help get those, hopefully help those achievements.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the LightSail platform has all the dashboard, and they can see, they can see even at a student's level. They can see what the students are reading, what they have read, what books they have abandoned, and a lot more information about the reading capabilities.
So what's your target number of students for the summer program?
So we want to have 30,000 students for this summer.
And how many countries will you have?
Oh, well, we wanted to have at least 6, but guess what? Now we've had people signing up from Canada, Malaysia, India, Hong Kong, Australia, Philippines, and then our regulars, Peru, El Salvador, Mexico, the US, so, and the Dominican Republic. So I don't know how many countries are we going to have now.
And if I'm a student and I want to read, will I be able to read in my native language?
We only have English and Spanish, books in both languages.
And does a student get to pick, or let's say you're at school and you want a Hispanic student to learn more in English, can they drive them to English reading, or is that still selective on the student's part?
Well, the student can choose whatever language they want to read on. But however, if the school wants their students to only access books in specific language, they can contact us and we can work that through the platform.
So you mentioned, and I think this is very important in the beginning, the cost of this is free. There's no cost involved.
Exactly. It's free for students. However, if any company, if any foundation want to help us and give us any donations, it costs us $10 per student to run the tournament. And we want it to be free for all the students because we want the students to, you know, become lifelong lovers, reading lovers. So we want this to be free for everyone, but of course we're always looking for donations.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. You do have it set up so that foundations and people that want to make charitable contributions can do that through a 501c3 organization, correct?
Exactly. We have the 501c3 is in charge of the reading tournament, and that way we can, you know, give this for free to all the students.
So how would I find you if I want to make a contribution?
Through oneliteracy.org, and you can send us an email, contact us through there. We have a form, a donation form on the website, and you can also sponsor a class. You can sponsor a group of children, or you can even sponsor a school. It's only $10 per kid.
And as we learned in our first segment of the conversation, there are prizes as an inducement for the students. What kind of prizes will you be offering this summer?
Yes, so we're going to offer laptops, tablets, and we also are going to offer amusement park tickets for the class category. And that has been so popular in the past. So the students that are in a school, they can register with their class, and if they read the most amount of minutes on average, they win amusement park tickets. And so they can go all together to an amusement park.
I would think these prizes alone would make the kids want to do a lot of reading. Hopefully that'll happen.
Exactly.
One thing we didn't get to talk about here is the fact that a lot of this is being AI driven, and I have a certain fascination with AI and how that, you know, can make the world a better place. What is AI bringing to these tournaments and the functionality?
So the way we use AI is through some of the books and some of the articles that we have uploaded in the LightSail platform. The AI creates the questions at the grade level of the student. so that we can see if the students are understanding what they're reading. So if they answer correctly, they can choose another article, for example, and the questions will be automatically more difficult, and that's thanks to the AI.
And you just mentioned articles versus books. You really don't care what the students are reading here. And the range of materials is quite large, correct?
Exactly. In the LightSail platform, they can access to more than 10,000 books, and we have over 400 articles. And what we want is that the kids get interested in reading and that they have this thought process of, how good and how interesting is to read something, and the way you learn and the way you can accumulate knowledge, and not only from the resources you have right here, but on a vast library of more than 10,000 books. That's what we want to accomplish.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. Your passion comes screaming through the screen. And I've known you and Jeff for a while, and I'm very proud of the work you've done in 311 Literacy, so I want to thank you. But before we go, make one more pitch to the audience of how to get in touch with you, and in particular, how to get signed up for the tournament.
Everyone that wants to participate in this summer tournament, go to 311literacy.com, sign up for the tournament, and let your kids begin to read, and let's see if they're the winners of the next great reading tournament.
Ariadna, thank you so much. Have a great day, and best of luck with this summer's tournament.
Thank you for your support, Nemo, and thank you for everyone.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and as always, that you were both educated and entertained. If you're interested in the world of 311 literacy, you can get involved by reaching out at 311literacy.org. If you're the parents or grandparents of school-age kids, you can start by getting them enrolled in this summer's reading challenge. The cost is free. I'll repeat that. The cost is free. As I mentioned at the top, this is the first in our series about the literacy apocalypse and possible solutions. In our next episode, we're going to move from the kids to the adults. Our literacy problems are multi-generational, and from my perspective, if parents can't read, then the kids miss out on the most valuable part of the learning process. I hope you'll join us, and come to think of it. Thank you.